Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Khalil, and on this channel we talk travel and lifestyle with a smidge of luxury thrown in. If that sounds like your vibe, then like and subscribe to see more videos from me. In today's video, I am sharing with you some tips on how to take your very first solo trip. So if you are someone who has had solo travel on your bucket list, or if it is one of your big goals for 2023, then this is the video for you. You're not going to want to miss the tips I have to share, so keep on watching. As someone who has taken several solo trips to places like Cambodia, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam, there are just some tips that I have put together over the years that have helped to make my trip that much more exciting, especially as I planned my very first solo trip, which was to Vietnam in 2014. And I wanted to share those tips with you today because I know that taking your first solo trip can seem very daunting, overwhelming, and downright scary. And so I wanted to make sure that as you're thinking about your own trip and where you want to go, that you can do that with some peace of mind. I love traveling by myself. I love the flexibility that it brings. I love just being able to have my own schedule, to do the things that I want to do without worrying about compromising or ruining someone else's experience. And I just love the things that I have learned about myself over the years. And I encourage every single person to take a solo trip at least once in your lifetime. It will definitely change your life and it will change how you see yourself. And it's just an amazing experience. So let's jump into these tips. My first tip is to start doing things solo in your city or your town. This is a great way to start building up your tolerance for your own company, because there will be times when you're like, ma'am, step away, right? You wanna get away from yourself. But the more that you are spending time with yourself, the easier it becomes when you actually step out of your comfort zone and go to a different country. And when I say spend time by yourself, I'm not talking about your trips to the grocery store or to the gym. I'm talking about experiences where you're sitting down for a long period of time in your own company, like going out to dinner, having a picnic in the park, sitting down at a coffee shop and reading a book, going to the movies by yourself. These are all activities that you'll probably do when you leave and go on your trip. And so you want to start doing those things to become more comfortable being by yourself. My next tip is to set a goal date. When you have a goal date, it will actually help you to execute on your goal. When you set a goal, you're able to work towards it and you're able to plan for it, as well as to save for your trip. You want to have as much time as possible so that you're able to do all of the things, get your finances in order. If you need to get visas or any kind of travel documentation or vaccines, anything of that sort, it's good to have an idea of when you're going so that you can have everything sorted out and you don't feel rushed or overwhelmed or feel like you're missing out a key step in your planning process. My next tip is to start just listing out the places that you want to go to and doing some research. Think about places that have been on your bucket list for a while. Think about places that are potentially closest to you, where it requires less travel time or there are less requirements such as visas or vaccines. Start researching them. After you've done your research, start narrowing down your list based on your budget, based on location, based on the time and the distance. I don't enjoy long haul flights by myself, so I will probably not take a 20-hour flight by myself. But you need to be clear on what your boundaries are when you're thinking about travel, right? You want to make sure that you're going to a place where you're likely to feel more comfortable, or the place that you'll feel the most comfortable going to by yourself. For me, that was Vietnam. I just knew that it was close to Abu Dhabi, where I lived at the time. When I looked at the prices, it was within my budget. It was affordable for me as a solo traveler. And I thought about all the activities that I wanted to do, and could I afford to do those things by myself? And it was just the perfect destination for me at the time. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. My next tip is to create an itinerary. I am an Excel person. I can't use Excel to save my life for my actual job, but when it comes to planning a trip, I am an Excel expert. And so what I do is I set out my entire duration of my trip in Excel, and I start plugging in various activities, all the information of my hotel, my flights, the times, things like that. And I even put in the prices, so that way I am clear about all of the things that I'm doing, and I have a reference point so that I can, go back to as I am making my plans for my trip. And it just helps me to feel really good and feel secure about the things that I'm doing. Additionally, when I'm making my itinerary, I also ensure that I have time built in to relax. When I took my first solo trip to Vietnam, it was jam-packed. I had so many things planned. I was running around from here to there every single day, and after a while, I definitely knew that I hit a wall, and it just became very overwhelming, very exhausting. And so over the years, I've learned to put time into my itinerary, whether it be a day off where I'm just relaxing, whether it's by the pool or getting a massage or something like that. Every day doesn't have to be me running around exploring the city, right? You want to also make sure that you're relaxing, because traveling by yourself can be stressful and it can feel overwhelming while you're on the trip. And so you want to make sure that you're doing things that are just going to help you to relax and to feel good about your travel experience. My next tip is to go with an open mind. You never know who you are going to meet when you're on this trip. And I can think back to the many times that I've met people, whether I'm on tour or just at a restaurant sitting down and eating, and I've met someone and we had an amazing conversation. I was able to connect with them, and it just made my trip that much better. And there are people who I met over the years who I still keep in touch with, and I know that, if I ever go to their home country, I always have someone there who I can connect with. Similar to what happened when I went to the UK this past summer. There was a couple I met when I was on my trip in Vietnam in 2014, and we've kept in touch on Instagram and on Facebook over the years. And when I went to the UK, I met up with them. We were able to have dinner, reconnect, and reminisce. And it's just an amazing experience to meet people. And that's part of traveling as a solo traveler, is that you're more likely to make connections with people, because when you're traveling with your friends, you're probably just like focused on your friends, and you feel good and secure because you have your little group of people. But when you're traveling solo, it kind of forces you to step outside of your comfort zone and meet new people. So don't be afraid to smile and initiate the conversation, because you just never know who you're going to meet. Those are my tips for how to take your first solo trip. This video is confirmation that you need to book the ticket and take the flight. If you have any questions about solo traveling, any tips, or any other ideas about solo travel, don't be afraid to leave those in the comment box. I'd love to hear from you. And let me know, what was your favorite solo travel destination? I would love to hear from you, because I'm always looking for new places where I can travel by myself. I hope to see you in my next video. Cheers!